You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show. The preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. It's Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com. Boy, she nails it perfectly. Aren't you glad after 15 years I gave up singing that line? No one wants to hear me sing that line. It's better when the Iron Lady does it. There you go, from the Bugs Bunny clips. Welcome to the big show, my family and friends. We certainly appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, we bring you the smartest, brightest people who share with you the stories of the world and their journeys of life or lifetimes, depending upon which Hollywood star you talk to. Basically, stories are the owner's manual to life, as we always say here on the show. For 16 years, we've been bringing you the CEOs, the governors, the White House presidential advisors, the billionaires, the Pulitzer Prize winners, all of the most smartest people, the authors who write books, and can bring you the gelatized, concentrated version of their knowledge and dispense it to you within up to an hour on the Chris Voss Show, or what we like to call the Chris Voss Show Glow. So there you go. Thereby you get the most wonderful, most brilliant things, and you get it, 3 to 4 times a weekday, 15 to 20 times a week. So make sure you guys keep up. As always, I set this up to beg, plead, and be desperate with you to refer the show to your family, friends, or relatives. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, linkedin.com/Chris Voss. Subscribe to that big LinkedIn newsletter, the 130,000 LinkedIn group there, YouTube, Chris Voss on the TikTok, and Chris Voss Facebook. We have an amazing gentleman on the show with us today, and he's going to be talking to us about a variety of stuff that he's into, and he will be entertaining, or else. I don't know what that means. Sounds like a threat, doesn't it? He's an attorney, so I may have issues with that. Rob Sciglimpaglia is on the show with us. Did I get that right, Rob?
You got it. Yes.
There you go. What is that origin of that name?
Italian.
He's got I don't even know if that's an Italian thing. So we have Robert on the show with us today. He's going to be talking to us about his stuff, and he's done quite the adventure. If you're not entertained by his life, I don't know what to tell you. He has appeared on national television many times. He is best known as the dad on the 2012 Chevy Super Bowl commercial, Happy Grad. His very first adventure in the acting field was a show called American Experience Hijacked, which aired nationally on PBS TV. It was narrated by Campbell Scott. Besides television, he's done many film projects in leading or supporting roles. He's produced 35 films and television projects and acted in several, including The Bathtub Chronicles, Within and Without, where he won several Best Actor awards, and films won hundreds of festival awards. He's currently involved in the production side for Sweeney Todd on Broadway. He's done on-camera or voiceovers for many recognizable brand names. Perhaps his most prominent voiceover project was the director for sessions for Bixby, the voice of Samsung Galaxy phones and products. Welcome to the show, Robert. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
There you go. So I can blame you for all that Bixby stuff going on my Samsung phone, huh?
Yeah, a little bit. You can blame me a little bit for it.
There you go. Samsung keeps pushing that. They try and force you to use it. I'm like, no. But
they're trying to get. They work with all the appliances and the TVs together.
Yeah.
The phones, so that's why they push it. So.
Get that thing. It's their own version of Siri, I think, isn't it?
Yes, it's like Siri, but it's expanded for everything that they manufacture uses Bixby. So
there you go. So give us your .coms. Where do you want people to find you out on the interwebs?
Best place to find me is ROBSCIG, RobSigESQ.com.
Mm-hmm.
That's my law site. My acting site is RobertPaglia.com.
Mm-hmm.
And you can find me on www.attyondemand.com.
There you go. So attorneyondemand.com, which is what we'll be talking a little bit about today. And then you also have a book that you put out called Voice Over Legal.
Yes.
and people can order that on Amazon or wherever that's found. Give us the 30,000 version of what's inside that book there.
So the voiceover legal, because I'm an attorney, and I started doing voiceover work. Many of my colleagues, my voiceover colleagues, would ask me legal questions.
Mhm.
So I kept getting the same questions over and over again. Like, should I form an LLC? What happened? Can I get sued? Should I get insurance? Those kind of things. So
Mhm.
I started writing those questions down, and then the book is basically a chapter for each of those common questions that
Oh,
I get.
really?
So, and I put it out, and I think it's like number 7 on the Amazon bestseller list for entertainment law. Right as we sit here, and it hit number 1 for a while. And it's the resource that a lot of voice talent use when they're trying to figure out the legal side of the voiceover business.
That's pretty good because I imagine there's a lot of that going on where you've got to figure it all out, and it's a business as opposed to just
Correct.
voiceover. So it's
Correct.
very interesting. And then your law site, Attorney on Demand, does that as well, I guess.
Yes, Attorney on Demand is a membership so that if an actor, voiceover artist, filmmaker, any business owner really, if they want an attorney on retainer, but they don't want to pay
Hmm.
thousands of dollars, they go there. They pay a low monthly fee. I can answer their questions as many as they have as 24/7,
Hmm.
and they get a whole bunch of discounted and free services for being a member.
There
So
you go. Much cheaper than throwing down that giant upfront payment, that giant retainer when
exactly,
you need an attorney.
a
I've
couple
seen that
thousand bucks a
movie.
month. Yeah,
I've seen
exactly.
that movie. That's yeah. So they can go on there, they can get the legal counsel that they need. They can find out how to protect their family and stuff and
Correct.
all that good stuff. And it's fairly more inexpensive, because yeah, hiring an attorney, yeah, especially when you have to do court stuff, it's quite expensive. So
Yes.
yeah.
And many times people don't know who to call. So
Hmm.
that solves that problem right there. They can call me
Yeah.
right away. I'm on retainer for them. And if we need to get another attorney involved because it's a specialized area, well, we could do that. So, it's just one less headache for people to have if, in case something happens, they know who to
Hmm.
consult. So,
This is probably helpful a little bit during the recent writer strike and all the Hollywood strikes that were going on. I'm not even sure they've all been resolved, but it was
they
probably
have,
helpful during that time.
yep, the
Did
writers'
they?
strikes resolved, SAG strikes resolved. There was the hotel union strike. Then it's getting resolved little by little out in California.
Yeah.
So
Everyone's on strike. So
yeah,
there you go. Or
I
they
mean
were on strike.
that says a lot about what's going on with our country right now. So
It's interesting time. Basically the baby boomers retired earlier than they would have with COVID. A lot of Gen X did too as well. And what most people don't realize that we don't have enough employees.
right, and we
Yeah.
also wages have not kept up with inflation, unfortunately. So
Yeah. And they're
people,
and
what are they going to do?
people are complaining about the prices, but they don't want immigrants to move into the country. So there you go, people. You're creating your own problem. Uh, the people don't realize. I mean, there are. I was reading. I think it was the New York Times, the Washington Post. For every 7 boomers that are retiring and Gen X that are retiring early because they saw COVID and went, "We're out, man. Fuck this." For every one of them is retiring right now. Um, for every 7 of them, these are skilled journeymen. They have 40 years of knowledge under their belt. They're master tradesmen.
Hmm.
They know their stuff, right? For every 7 of those that are retiring, there is one novice guy who's like a beginner who's taking their place. That's how offset things are right now, and it's going to be interesting. And if you don't
Not
think
surprising.
inflation's going to kick in and people are going to charge a lot of more prices, we're going to have the same in the medical field as well.
Sure.
So there you go. So it's going to be an interesting 4 years. So people can utilize your service. They can access it there. They can see different plans and all that good stuff. Anything more we need to touch on there that you're doing at that place?
Well, I am a very much full service attorney. So, um, well, I'm sure we'll talk more about this. But not only do
Mhm.
I do voiceover, I do them myself. I'm a voiceover artist and actor, so I have that perspective. I do
Mhm.
taxes, so that's another big reason why people that are in business like to consult with me, because taxes are always an issue, always an issue. So it's that's one of the things I like to do, is be able to be a little diversified so I can answer people's questions on the right and the left brain.
There you go. With taxes in Hollywood, it's kind of an issue because if you work in different states to film projects and stuff, right, you got to pay the taxes in those states, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And so,
Well, you have to. The way it works is you pay in the state you're in. So if
uh-huh.
you're like I'm in the New York area, if I go out to LA and I do a job, I'd have to pay the LA tax, the California tax, but I get a credit on that, so I don't have to pay. It's a credit on my federal return and my state
Okay.
return here. So
But I mean, you still have to fill out the paperwork, right?
you
Which
still
is
have to do
kind
the
of
paperwork, yeah,
nightmarish
or you
because,
just forget about it if it's not enough. Like I know people that just don't worry about filling out the paperwork and forego the whatever it would normally they'd get a refund, and
Mhm.
they're like, it's not worth it. The $20 or whatever I'm gonna get back.
20 buck
So,
residual check that you got. Yeah. Like whatever. But I know, some actors, especially big actors, they work all over. There's, what is it, the Georgia? There's the one gentleman, the famous actor, produced all those films in cross dressing, Mattia or whatever. What's his name? But I mean, he's made a lot of money. He's got like a
Tyler
huge
Perry.
Tyler Perry. There it is.
Yeah.
He's got a. If you've seen his house down in Georgia, it's
I have not, but
spectacular.
I've seen the studio, so just
It's
imagine.
insane. Like it makes the Versailles, the Gardens of Versailles or whatever, look like I don't know, Amateurville. Doesn't really, but it's
Yeah, I
still
mean, if you're making income in all 50 states, obviously that's where it gets complicated.
yeah.
You have to have your home state where you can credit all the taxes you're paying from the other states, but you got to do all the paperwork. So
So what made you, I mean, you're kind of an interesting guy because you're into acting and do movies and voiceover and stuff, but then you're also an attorney. Like most people just ride one horse, but
yeah,
what got you into wanting to do both, I guess?
so I started out as an attorney.
Mhm.
I went right from undergrad to law school,
Mhm.
came out, started practicing law. But I was a DJ in college. I always did like the technical side of things.
Mhm.
The cameras, the mixing board, all that stuff for the plays and for the shows. And I was always too reserved, too much of an introvert to
Hmm.
go in front of the camera and act, even though I liked it. Um, so I was practicing about 10 years, doing well, but I just kind of felt like there's got to be more to this, and I always wanted to act. So
Mhm.
I took a class in adult ed for voiceover just to check it
Hmm.
out. I didn't really even know what it was. I thought voiceovers was cartoons. Like that's what I thought it was. I didn't know how big voiceovers was, and I
Yeah.
loved it. I
Yeah.
fell in love with it. So then I took more classes. I started taking acting classes. I really got into it, and I realized how much harder acting is than law school was. It's hard. So
Wow.
it's hard to make an income. It's hard to learn. It's you know you,
Mhm.
it's a completely different type of learning. So
Yeah.
you're learning more about feelings, and you're not learning. It's not logic. So
Yeah,
it's
like
it,
the attorney business is real cerebral
exactly
logic.
very much logical. Yeah.
And
So
yeah.
it's. I mean, there is some creative element to it, which is why I like
Yeah.
it, because I do trial law as well, and that's you really trying to think on your feet. That's where the acting really helps.
Mm.
So they do complement each other.
There you go. Acting in
And
front of the jury and the judge and stuff.
exactly, and it does help you use both sides of the brain. So
Mhm.
I like the balance. And people ask me, which you may ask me now, but people ask me like, what do I like better, and what do I want to do? And
Yeah.
the answer I give is I doing what I want to do right now.
Yeah.
If I did more acting, great. If I did more law, great. I don't want to do one thing. I want to do
Mhm.
more things because I like the balance and I like the variety. I don't like being in the rut. And that's kind of where I felt I was when I started doing the voiceovers.
Yeah.
I felt I was in the daily rut.
I
So
I'm the same way. I like doing multiple things because then you tend to get less burnout and bored.
exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
And
And it
I was
keeps you
starting to
fresh.
feel, I was starting to get to the burnout phase. So
Mhm.
that motivated it too. I was like,
There you go.
so I've got to be more. There's more than just doing this for 60 hours, 80 hours a week.
There you
So
go. Now you've there's a thing here. You sued TikTok.
I did.
Bev Standing. I'm not sure who that is because I'm not hip or cool. What was that about?
Yeah, so Beverly Standing is a voice actor in Canada,
Oh, okay.
and so the AI thing, artificial intelligence. I'm sure
Oh,
you've heard about it.
yeah, I've heard
So,
that's been a big issue for.
so that's been
Yeah.
around for a while. In fact, Bixby, when I recorded that, that was back in 2018, 2016, around that time. So that
Mhm.
AI has been in development all this time. So Bev Standing had done a job back in 2018 time frame.
Mhm.
It was supposed to be for translation, Chinese translation, and in 2022, 2021, her daughter hears her mom's voice on TikTok as the text to speech voice. Remember the original text to speech voice? That was Bev
Uh,
Standing.
oh, really?
So her daughter called, "Hey, why are you on TikTok? When did you do this job?" And Beverly's like, I didn't do this job." So she traced it
Wow.
back to that job that she had done in 2018.
Uh-huh.
So I sued on her behalf in the Southern District Federal Court in New York, and they ended up settling the case. Because I don't think it wasn't their intention to swipe her voice, but the files ended up getting circulated, and
Wow.
ended up in TikTok's hands, and that's kind of how it went down. But it was an experience, and I was glad we were able to prevail on that. And then Bev definitely was happy about it. But the only bad thing or the downside is that they took her voice off as the
Mm.
text speech, put someone else on. Um, so, but they can use her if they want to in the future.
They just got to work a deal out, maybe.
Yeah.
Probably a lot of this is going to be going on in the future with AI. I mean, basically, the joke
Yes.
is with Chat GPT is they basically just scrape the internet and
Yep.
then they're selling it back to you.
Right.
And I know there's some suits I'm sure you're familiar with where I
Yes.
think the Booker Authors
Yep.
Association are suing, and evidently some books and materials were used to train the device.
Yes. Authors, and artists,
Wow.
painters, and photographers. There's class action suits going on, and that's so. ChatGPT is what they call generative AI,
Hmm.
which means that the computer creates its own artwork, our own writing, based on all the internet, everything that's on the internet. So
Hmm.
AI, basically, the computers scour 20 billion files a second and come up with everything that's out there. And then, so like, say someone wants a picture of a dog, type on ChatGPT, I want a picture of a dog. So the internet will go out there and they'll scour every picture of every dog out there and come back, and it'll create a unique looking dog combining all of the files that it found out there.
Hmm.
So that's generative AI. And that's so what's going on with these lawsuits is what you said. The authors and the artists are claiming that their copyrights are being violated because they're being trained and being used to create new works. And so far, the judges are not buying that because they're saying there's no proof that their works were used,
Hmm.
because you can't really the work's not recognizable. You can't really look at it and say, well, that's so and so's work. So until that happens, you know the suits are, or until Congress steps in, does passes legislation, it's going to be tough to pursue these types of cases
Yeah.
on generative AI. And of course, if something's recognizable, like Bev
Yeah.
Standing, her voice was recognizable, even though that was AI generated um, files. She's able to pursue because, number one, she copyrighted her files, and
Hmm.
number two, because of her likeness, they're using
Hmm.
her likeness.
Yeah.
So that's the issue when it comes up and it doesn't. There's no likeness,
Hmm.
or there's no copying directly of a painting or a book. You know how much of it has to be used before it's infringement, and how do you tell how much of it was used before you can make an infringement claim?
There you
So
go. And I think
that's the issue.
sometimes you have I mean, in her case, this probably wouldn't apply, but because they were just ripping her off directly. But then there's also parody.
Yes.
Does does parody cover AI? because we're like, well, we're taking what they had and making it our own
Yep.
better.
So there's a couple of First Amendment protections
Mm-hmm.
from any copyright infringements. Parody is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's a documentary or news or learning,
Mm-hmm.
those are other exceptions. So, you could take somebody's book and bring it into a class and teach a class the writing in the book, and that's not an infringement because it's educational.
Yeah. Plus, they're not selling it. Well, I mean, technically, the college is making some money, I think.
Right. Yeah, it's not being used for commercial purpose. Yeah. Well, even if they're selling the book to the students, that's fine because it's educational. It's protected by the First Amendment.
Wow.
So
there you go.
parody is the same thing. So if you're parodying or clearly making fun of an original work, then that's protected by the First Amendment.
There you go. So, the writer's strike and the actor strike that was going on, one of the big concerns is AI and likenesses being used. Somebody told me, I don't know if this is true, but back when it started with The Crow, when the lead actor of The Crow died, the Hollywood evidently started storing images of actors.
Yes.
And film and keeping like a file. They recently, I guess, did this with Harrison Ford on his recent movie where they were able to imprint old recorded video of him. And then they probably do some trick with the mouth or whatever, but evidently they have enough of it, him saying shit, where they can match it all up and it's indexed.
Yep.
And, we saw that with Carrie Fisher, of course, she appeared in several Star Wars movies post-mortem.
Yep. James Earl Jones,
Mm-hmm.
Val Kilmer. Yeah, there's a lot.
Oh, Val Kilmer, yeah, back before he had cancer and stuff. Yeah,
a lot of examples.
But I mean, the question is who gets paid for all this stuff, right?
And that's exactly what the strike was about, and the strike actually resolved part of that issue.
Yeah.
So what the resolution of the strike said, if you work a film, work a project, do a voice on a project, they can take your files, so they can take whatever you recorded for that project, and they can use it for that project without you getting paid additionally, right? But if they store your picture and they want to use it in the future, you have to give your consent, and they have to pay you. You have to bargain. So you can ask for whatever you want. It has to be bargained for. There's no scale on it.
There you go.
Except they said the minimum has to be, you have to get paid for 1 day of scale, but I'm sure people are going to want more than that. And then for generative AI, you don't need to get anyone's permission. So if they do a generative AI and there's no recognizable person, so if they take all the people that they have on file and come up with a new looking and sounding person, completely generated virtually, they don't have to get permission for that, and they don't need to pay anybody for that.
Wow.
And that's what the resolution was of the
Maybe
strike.
Hollywood just make like new actors based upon, I don't know.
That's the fear. Yeah.
You can take George Clooney and Brad Pitt and I don't know, a couple other good looking guys and ram together and get the greatest hits.
Exactly. Yeah. Then you asked about consent or you asked about permission or who gets paid or who they get permission from. So when they get the consent, you have to say specifically that you want your consent to live on after you pass.
Oh.
Or you don't want it, or it will. If you don't say, I don't want this, I want this to die with me, this consent, it will live on after you pass the consent. And if there is no consent, there was no consent given ever, then the family and the person and the actors pass, the family, the estate can give consent. But if the producer says that they look for the family, couldn't find them, then the union can give consent.
Oh, really?
That's what they worked out in the deal. So
sounds like some unions got some power there.
Yeah, exactly. The union, the ball's in motion a little bit. Like you said, they can come up with a whole bunch of new actors, and combining a bunch of visuals that they have, and they don't have to pay actors anymore.
Wow,
which would not be good. But I don't think we're not close to that.
Most people know I'm an assimilated character from Brad Pitt, George Clooney, and a few James Bond figures.
Nice.
So there you go. I'm all put together. The only problem is I'm 55, but I don't know. It didn't turn out like they thought it would. It just went the opposite way. But
So you just
there you
outed
go.
yourself that you're AI.
Pretty much, yeah. Every now and then you'll see me glitch, and that gives you the hint. I'm part of the Matrix, actually. So Anderson. So I know that some of these things are there are kind of some more, I think, laws for this in place with dead actors, right? That have passed on. Anytime someone wants to use Marilyn Monroe's images or film, but this is very different because they're just making stuff with it now. They're
Right.
not using old film
Correct.
per
Well, they're
se.
using their. So the way that it works, um, they still need, if they're going to do something from scratch,
Hmm.
they still need actors.
Yeah.
So they'd get an actor to come in and do the motion capture. So they would, act out, like in animation, they would act everything out for the
Hmm.
screen on a green screen. And then they would have an actor come in and do the lines.
Hmm.
And then what they do is they just take the skin, they just take the pictures of
Hmm.
whoever the actor is, Marilyn Monroe, and they take a little piece. They only need like a minute of her voice
Wow.
to make it sound decent. If they have more, they can make it sound perfect. And they
Hmm.
take that and they use that for her voice, and that's how the character looks like Marilyn Monroe,
Wow.
because it's real, but real actors they're still working.
You still
So,
have to keep real
but they're just
actors
not
around.
seen. They're going to be Marilyn Monroe.
So
So,
there you go. There you go. One of my friends, JS Gilbert, is ringing in. He says,
oh,
"What's up,
nice.
Rob and Chris? Do you know JS?"
Oh, I know him very well. Yes, AJS, how's it going?
There you go. There you go. I was wondering why he was ringing in. I'm like, he never rings in on the thing, and we've been friends for years.
Oh, wow,
Um,
nice.
but and then I realized he's a voiceover actor.
Yes,
He does voiceover.
he
He's been
does.
doing that for a long time. In fact, I called him one time. I'm like, "Hey, what's the best mics I should buy?" And
He probably went, "What are you talking about?" I
yeah,
get this question all the time.
yeah, he has like 500,000 mics in his basement or something, from what I understand.
I'm sure he
And
does.
yeah, if anybody knows stuff, and then he used to do stand-up comedy in LA.
I can see
So he
that.
has jokes
Yep.
about babysitting the kids there at the Comedy Store, as everyone had to do back in the day. And I think it was the Comedy Store, one of those. And then of course hanging out with stuff. So great stuff there. What's the future that you see with AI, and what sort of impact it's going to have, and how you're preparing your attorney firm to kind of take on these future things, on attorney on demand stuff. What do you see maybe coming down the pike that you're anticipating?
Yeah, well, right now what's going on? There's a lot of theft going on. So
Mm,
anyone that's created character voices,
mm,
those are being scraped and stolen left and right. So people that create character voices,
mm,
the fans go out there, they get samples of them, and then they'll do some kind of fan film or something, or whatever, and post it
wow.
up on YouTube. So that's going on. So there's actually a website called UberDuck where you can go on there, and a voice actor could fill in the form, show where the character voice is being used illegally, and
Wow.
blacklist themselves so that people are put on notice, not to do
Hmm.
this. But
Yeah.
it's really, it's really, there's no enforcement mechanism really, except for whoever created that character originally
Hmm.
can sue for infringement. But normally it's not the actor that. Sometimes it's the actor, but most of the time it's not the actor that created the character. It's some kind of big company. Disney owns the
Hmm.
character, so then
Yeah.
they'd have to be the one that takes action. So it
Yeah.
makes it tough if a character voice is associated with a particular actor, and you know someone swipes it, then puts them in a very tough position in order to get that stopped. And
Yeah.
that's why UberDuck came up, so that it was kind of a way to at least out the people, to say that my character voice is being used illegally, and I don't
Hmm.
want to do AI. That's what the form says. I don't want to do AI. So that's why
Hmm.
they're blacklisted. They
Oh
blacklist
wow. Okay.
themselves.
All right. I know that's a big thing. I mean, we get a lot of our videos still on YouTube. I imagine, and we have to do copyright claims, take down stuff, and all that crap. At one point, it was quite out of control. I don't think anybody copies the show, but they copy our review product stuff. We'll review a lot of products, so they copy that. But I would imagine you can ask sites to take it down or force them to take it down if you file a copyright infringement or a
Yeah, but
takedown notice.
technically, it's supposed to be that's what I mean. Like if it was
It has to be the origin or
the
the owner of the
owner
product.
of but I mean, I think they're allowing actors also to put the takedown notices down, but
Yeah,
not all of them are. Some of
yeah,
them are like, no, you need the owner to make this claim. So
yeah. That's kind of interesting because I thought that with copyright, well, imagine if it's copyrighted like by Disney, they
right,
technically own the copyright.
right,
Even, I mean, because I know if I appear in a picture or my voice does or something like that, and I haven't paid for it or compensated or any sort of contract, I can have that taken down
yes,
because I'm part of the copyright if I
that's
appear in the
likeness,
picture.
likeness.
Likeness. Okay, yeah.
So using your
Is it the
likeness, your
same
image.
for voiceover then? Yeah.
No, because well, if it was just you, if it was just me, like
Hmm.
right here talking, yes.
Hmm.
But if I'm creating a character, that it's not really my likeness.
It's the
you've created a
character.
character. So then, yes, you created it. So yes, you have some claim to it, but you're not the copyright owner. Well, you might
Wow,
be. Maybe you created it and copyrighted it yourself, and that's
that's
fine. But
interesting.
you may
Yeah.
have done it with a script that Disney wrote.
Ah,
So that Disney would be the one that owns that character, owns that performance,
yeah.
basically owns everything. So when the actors, but the actors associated with it,
Hmm.
right? So that's where they're invested. So then that's where they want to try to get it taken down. But sometimes the sites won't let them. Sometimes they say that the owner has to make the claim.
Wow,
So
it's crazy, man.
it's very crazy.
Um, yeah, lots of stealing and lots of ripping off, and I'm sure AI and the deep fakes and all this stuff that's going on. They say this next election going to come up is going to have a lot of deep fakes hitting it.
Yes, and
Um,
I know legislation is. I know that there's been a lot of talks about how to legislate this and how to
mhm,
pass laws about it, and that's one of the reasons why it's being paid attention to is
mhm.
because the politicians. I'm sure some of them already got deep faked, and that's like their
Oh, yeah.
greatest fear that they're going to be deep faked saying something that
You might
you
actually
know
do something for a change.
exactly. They're actually been they've been talking about it. It's been in committee for a couple a while. I don't know how
Yeah.
long, but for
'Cause
months. So
it's gonna get out of hand. There's right now I see on TikTok, and I don't know what kind of scam it is, but it's some sort of thing that's selling some sort of Bitcoin or a Bitcoin variation of a money coin, I suppose you call it, and signing up for some service that houses Bitcoin. And they have all these people that they've done fake, um, that they've done fake. What did I say it was the fake?
Bitcoin
No, the fake voiceover facial
deep fake.
thing, deepfake. They've done deepfakes on like Warren Buffett, CNN, Hankers. There's a whole mess of them, and
Yep,
it's all
yep.
over the place. And
I
I'm like,
saw it.
how is TikTok letting this happen?
I saw one with Tiger Woods where
Yeah,
he was saying,
you get this free
well, it wasn't
coin if
him. It
you
was a
sign
deep
up or
fake
something.
where
Yeah.
you get a free set of clubs if sign
Oh,
up for
really?
$50 or whatever. But it was a deep fake. It was completely it was
Yeah.
crazy. It would look real too. So
Yeah. I mean, it's like Warren Buffett was offering people if they sign up, they're like, we're giving away free coin. You get a free coin if you come to this website and sign up. And I'm just like, yeah, put in your social security number, see how that works. Um, your birth date and whatever. But it's all over TikTok. And I'm just like, how is this? Like, this is really abusive deep fakes. I mean,
yeah.
some are really good. Elon Musk seems to be one of the popular ones they like to deep fake, where he's selling stuff or endorsing stuff. The mouth thing is so bad. You're just like, dude, that's not even.
Well, some of them aren't. That's the
Yeah,
problem. Like some of
yeah,
them are bad and you laugh, but some of them aren't.
yeah,
Some of them are pretty good.
yeah,
So, and
yeah.
I actually just I got a call from a client today about that, about how TikTok has used one of his songs as one of the, like when you can create the videos and make the
Oh,
song,
yeah,
they've been
yeah,
using his
yeah.
song and he wrote to them and they took it down but a whole bunch of other people had already copied the song. So it's still out there. And now they won't respond to him. He's written to 2 or 3 times. So
Wow.
TikTok, in my experience, they're not very quick to jump on the copyright infringement
Isn't
stuff.
it interesting? It's an interesting. So people just need to know about this stuff. So final thoughts as we go out on everything you do and how you do it, and plugging people to take a look at some of the services you're offering.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, well, as you can tell, I'm experienced with AI.
Mhm.
And I do litigation. So, and then I create trademarks, or I do trademarks and copyright for people. I create LLCs. So really, I do taxes, anything business related, arts related. You know, give me a call, no
There you go.
problem, or just go online and go on my website. But I love the acting side too. So even if anyone has a question about how to get into acting or get into voiceovers, that's something that you can ask me about as well. And like I had said before, my websites are robscigesq.com, robsig.com. My acting site is robertpaglia.com, and www.attyondemand.com is for the membership program.
There you go. There you go. Well, thank you, Robert, for coming on the show. It's been really interesting discussion on what the future of everything is going to hold, and sounds like a lot of with AI. It sounds like a lot of good work coming up for attorneys.
Oh, definitely.
Job
This
security.
is going to be a lot of litigation, I'm sure.
There you go. Well, thank you very much, Robert, for coming on the show. Thanks so much for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Foss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Foss, YouTube.com/Chris Foss, Chris Foss 1, and what's the other thing? Chris Foss, Facebook.com. The nice thing about being ugly and having radio face is no one ever copies my likeness. They do it
Well,
on
you take your
Facebook.
voice, though. Your voice is your likeness, too. So.
I expose if you want. I don't know. Have fun with that. With a face for radio and a voice for print. That's what I stole that off of somebody. So sorry to Better Bachelor on YouTube. It's a great line. Thanks for tuning in. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you guys next time.